Hi, gorgeous soul, and welcome to Spiritually Empowered Podcast. This show is your go-to place to learn all about your psychic intuitive gifts, explore and unveil taboo topics, and discover new ways to walk in power on this planet that is undergoing a massive transformation. We each came here with a higher calling. This podcast will catalyze you into yours. I love to simplify and refine ancient mystical teachings and practices, let you in on my most personal revelations and shifts, as well as bring on soul-inspiring guests to support you with embodying your power and saying yes to your destiny today. I am so excited to dive deep with you. Let's begin. Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to the Spiritually Empowered Podcast. I hope this finds you wonderful today. How about we do a little grounding meditation to start us off? If you're new here, welcome in. I'm Ashley. I am the founder of Winged Alchemy. This is an online temple of higher awakening, of self-initiation into your deepest peace, power, and purpose. So I'm so glad you're here. Let's take some deep breaths and land into our tailbone, land into the moment. Maybe you're on the go right now. Maybe you are able to find some stillness wherever you're at. Let's just take some conscious breaths together in this space. Dropping your jaw, dropping your shoulders, wiggling down and into your body. I'm a person in recovery from addiction, and this is my 8th year clean and clear. And what I often say, because I work in the field of recovery, what I often say to the people that I teach or facilitate groups with at a local recovery center is that we are so powerful that we can time travel, that we can hover above these bodies. We are so powerful that we can be somewhere else but here, and your replenishment is here, your power is here, your peace is here. And sometimes it's really important actually on our healing journeys to time travel. Right? If we're in a therapy session or a shamanic healing session or whatever it is, hypnotherapy, we journey through time. We might journey to the past to reconcile a wound or a tear in the fabric that makes us up. We might have a soul retrieval, right? Bringing back a part of us that was exiled through judgment or conditioning in society. We might journey to the future to meet our next level self. We might journey to have a vision of our becoming, and shamanism is big on journeying. And the doorway to every journey is the now. This is the gateway. This is the precious moment. So imagining, my love, calling all the parts of you, every part of you here into the presence of your body now. Inviting in every part of you back. Open the door and be whole right here. Behold your inner wholeness. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've got my Wawa Christmas blend coffee. I don't drink coffee really in the mornings. It's rare that I do that, but sometimes I like to enjoy that in the afternoon. It just has a different effect on me if I drink it earlier. Sometimes it just, creates anxiety. So I got my coffee. Maybe you have a beverage of choice. I got a candle lit. And we are going to dive into a topic together called the courage to love. And what does that feel like for you? The courage to love. I was driving home from the intensive house that I work at every Monday, and this is a women's program. It is a 28-day intensive program for people that are right off the streets, right out of jail. They just are getting sober. And that's what this is. And I get to be with them every Monday and teach and guide and just sit with them in a healing space. And as I'm driving home, I've really wanted to jump back on the podcast and talk about Bali. Oh my God. I spent a month in Indonesia. I had this whole heroine's journey, and we're going to get to that eventually because I want to process that with you and share the incredible experiences and teachings. And there's just so much there that I have been really gracefully integrating. And really, it's been about my body sort of having a reset because all of that travel and the different kinds of food and out of the routine and, it really took some time. I also got a tattoo, so I couldn't do my hot yoga for weeks. And I just feel like in the last week that I am rooted and I'm feeling really good in my body. So I'm really stoked to share more on that month-long journey in Bali, Indonesia. It was truly life-changing. But for now, I want to riff on this topic about the courage to love. So I woke up this morning and did my meditation, and I had some really psychedelic visions in my meditation, obviously with no plant medicine, just me on my meditation cushion praying and going into the other worlds, like seeing what's there. And I had just some wild experiences, and then I was drinking my matcha, had a beautiful breakfast, and I was just feeling this buildup of anxiety, and I don't know, this energy started to flow through me of not panic, but like chaos, and should I do this, and should I do that, and should I just that buildup of shoulds specific to my business and what I feel called to offer in the world. And so I noticed that, and I was riding that wave, and it was fine, and I still enjoyed my morning. And then it just, it was there, and it was kind of building up, and I was like, all right. And then I opened up my phone and I went into my Instagram and I went into my free community that I have, and it's got almost 100 people in there, and it's totally free. It's in my Instagram bio. If you're not in there, definitely come join us if you're loving what I'm sharing in here on the podcast. And I just went into that group and I just started teaching from my own alchemy of that wound. So what that means is I just started saying, transformation is about accepting exactly where you're at. This is the key. This is the foundation. This is about getting access granted into the internal map of reality that you hold. I started to do this thing. I have these little things that I do when I teach that keep coming up, and they're like these cute, sometimes funny little sayings and things. And one of them is, if you look inside yourself and you come with judgment and you come with self-criticism, you hear the words, access denied, right? So you don't get access to mold the clay of your internal reality. As mystics, we know that the map of reality that we hold is the map that we experience in the external world. If we want to change something outside, we change something inside. This is as above, so below, as within, so without. It is proven that your beliefs always show up in the world, in who you attract, in the circumstances, in the patterns, right? Like there's no argument needed about that, because that's literally science, that you go look for evidence that the stories that you hold within you are true. So if you want to change your external, you change the internal. Now, spirituality for me used to be this place of increased self-judgment, right? When you open your awareness to yourself, sometimes you can use that to beat yourself up some more. And I totally used to do that. And sometimes I catch myself doing that, not too often anymore. It's quite rare, actually. And I celebrate that in myself. My set point is love, because I know that true transformation begins with radical acceptance. And it sounds really cool, but how do you do it? All right. I'm into marrying the esoteric and the practical. Love yourself. Okay, that sounds so wonderful. How do you do it? So in this episode, I'm going to lay out a formula for you to really walk through some steps so that you can feel like you have a map to enlightenment, literally. I was feeling that energy moving through me this morning. And then I was like, you know what? Let me focus on other people right now. Let me serve. So I picked up my phone and I typed out these messages, and it was really the medicine that I needed, that I knew somebody else in that group needed too. So the ego, or this self-identity, this lowercase s self, it can make us really big, and it can also make us really small. So it can make us feel like we're better than, or we're this like big like energy, this hierarchy bullshit. And it can also make us feel like we're a piece of shit. So it's like this pendulum swinging of better than, worse than, better than, worse than. And one way beyond that, or out of that paradigm, and the ego is not inherently bad at all. The ego is incredible. We need these human spacesuits for the human journey. All right. And a way beyond that pendulum swinging is to contribute to other people's well-being. And because sometimes your ego can keep you from your purpose in that way, right? Because it can be so self-focused that it doesn't even remember its duty to serve. And it can actually keep us judging ourselves and waiting until we're healed, and it can keep us small, where actually we can fucking go help somebody right now. We can do what we love, which is to be of service right now. So I did that. And I opened up my Instagram and I shared messages, and I immediately felt lighter in my heart. And I knew that that was going to help at least one person. And that's really beautiful. So the alchemy of your wound into your purpose is this ongoing medicine that you are born with. Use your challenges to serve. And in that contribution, you're alchemizing the energy in your body. So I knew that I was feeling lighter. I was like, that's really cool. And I drove to the women's house where I had 2 hours of teaching. And I get there and I was like, feeling a little spacey. The energy is really interesting today. And yeah, I get there and I sit down and we just breathe, and I go into the teachings. I go into the teachings of unconditional love. I go into a share around the key to the transformation that we are all seeking, I believe, is to accept exactly where we are now. It sounds paradoxical in the paradigm of duality, but that's why I'm so in love with Eastern traditions, because they teach non-duality. This is the law of balance. Positives in the negative, negatives in the positive. And so unconditional self-love says you don't have to change yourself. If you're crying, if you're raging, if you're having orgasmic bliss, whatever is here is right. Whatever is moving through you is right. And when you approach yourself in that way, you hear access granted. I used to do the shadow work stuff as a way to get better, as a way to get happier. That's an ulterior motive. The true reason of healing is to love ourselves in our wholeness. And if we come to ourselves with this judgment, if you come to a child with judgment, they're not going to tell you anything. You're not going to get access to their inner world if you're not meeting them with love. So why would we expect any different from ourselves? Sometimes spirituality can be a means of increased self-judgment, because we take our patterns pre-spirituality or pre-awakening, whatever you want to call it, and we move it into the spiritual path sometimes, and we're like, damn, dude, I really wish I could transform. And it's like, here's the magic pill. It is unconditional self-love. And what that means is, when you close your eyes to meditate, you allow what is to be. It's that simple. You sit and breathe and allow what is to be. something happens when you do that. The energy that's called resistance starts to leave your body as a byproduct of the practice, and you return to the sacred now, and you land into this center point of peace. So I drew out on the whiteboard today in my classes a circle, and I called it peace. And then I drew a circle around it, and I called it emotions, mind, and yoga calls it the chitta. These are the fluctuating states. Many people are living in and identifying with the fluctuating states. That's called suffering. When you identify with the mind stuff, meaning you think you're your thoughts and you never go deeper, then that's a space of suffering. That's a space of living in a reactionary relationship with life. I've studied yoga for 10 years and it still amazes me. The deepest, most profound truth is that peace never left you. Peace never went anywhere. And I'm going to call peace the God within. You can call it the Christ within. You can call it the Atman. That's what yoga calls it. Call it what you want. The Buddhahood, the inner Buddha, whatever. This is your nature and it never left. And I had somebody ask in the class, she was saying how emotions feel like they're in opposition to peace because she grew up in her family hearing that all emotions are bad. And that's a very stoic mindset, right? Where any type of emotional experience is wrong or bad. So she was saying, she literally put up her hands, like they separated, and here's peace and here's the emotions. And there's like a war between them. She was saying how like emotions get in the way of her peace and they're at odds. And I say, look at the board. Recovery, remembering, yoga means union, the unification of the self. What you're doing when you have your hands like this is you are separating something that wants to be in flow. You've got peace over here, you've got emotions over here. That's a dualistic understanding. It's not wrong, but it's not the full story. I don't know what that was. Uni's doing something over there. I'll try to edit that out. There was just a sound in the background. So the idea is that it's all connected. It's all one. And I said, as long as you have emotions in opposition to peace, there's an inner war, there's a fragmentation. The healing journey is about wholeness. Healing means wholeness. This is the reunification of the self. So by definition, they both get to live. They both get to be. This is beyond duality. This is non-duality understanding. This is that higher understanding, not better than, just a wider compass of, or a wider experience of truth that is inclusive to all states. And something else that blew their minds today and kind of blew mine because it's so simple and true is that all emotions are sacred. All emotions are sacred. They're all freaking neutral. It's how do we use that material in our lives? Right? If you tell a child never get angry, never get angry, never get angry, they're going to create a fragment in their psyche where they stuff and store and repress anger. And that's a split. That's a fragmentation in the psyche, right? We all have these in different ways, I believe. And that person that wasn't allowed to get angry has stuffed and repressed anger. So they're going to grow up and they're going to secretly be run by anger. Whatever you weren't allowed to be lives in the shadow, which is the part of you that is split off from the totality. The shadow is so loving that it holds everything that you don't want to own. And that's your gifts and your bigness and your insecurities and fears. Everything that you've repressed through childhood and beyond. Everything, simply put, that you don't feel is lovable. That's the fragment, right? Now, the reunification of self is the union of the unconscious and the conscious mind. And it sounds really fancy, but here's a way to that. Here's one way. Here's a pathway. So by definition, recovery, remembering, this is everything within me gets a seat at the table. Remember, the law of balance is it all exists, right? The positives and the negatives and the positive. So I said, anger is sacred. If you were to change your perception about anger, the experience of anger would change. Anger shows you what's important. Think about people in the streets protesting. Anger moves you to change. It's how you use the raw material of emotions and really the meaning you give them that creates your experience. So what I was experiencing this morning was a thought that says, I shouldn't feel this way. And that was a program that I got in childhood. Right? Get happy, Ash. Why are you sad? This is what I received in childhood. Why would you be sad? Everything is okay. You have money, blah, blah, blah. And the meaning I gave that when I was a child was, I shouldn't feel the way I feel. That's a fragment. And this morning I felt that little thought come up, and that was creating the suffering for me. It's never the experience of the emotions. That's just neutral, raw material. But it's the meaning that we give it. Right? You've heard that anxiety is a very similar experience inside the body to excitement. And often it's the meaning we give it that creates our experience of it. So think about that circle of peace. And think about a bigger circle around it, right? Peace is in the center, and a bigger circle around it is called the chitta, the mind stuff, the emotions, the fluctuating states. Peace never left you. Think about peace and the God within as being always available underneath all the shit, underneath everything that's alive in you. I had another person ask, do you think that peace is always accessible? And I just took a breath and I paused. And I said, yes, it is. If the person is willing to go through the stuff that's there, that's veiling or over top of the peace. Because you do have to journey through the stuff, right? Say you sit down to meditate and you're feeling grief or you're feeling sad. And your mind might say, why am I sad? And your inner child might say, am I allowed to be sad right now? Is it okay? And so you might say, I am completely here with you now. So what you're doing when you do that is you're writing, R-I-G-H-T, you're writing over your experience. And the quickest way to internal freedom is this right here. Because resistance and severing, it drains us of our precious life force energy. After we did this meditation together, because I said, listen, I wrote out the steps, let's put our money where our mouth is. What is the use of fancy spiritual teachings if we don't do them? This is a time period where we need to be doers, not overdoers, but action takers. Action takers who are willing to experiment with these truths that speak to us. And I also shared that at the center of grief is love. Because love or grief could not exist without love. And at the center of anger is holy boundaries. So every emotion is positive, has a positive energy within it. And their minds just, I could see all these lights coming on because people who struggle with addiction get really good at escapism, and I'm one of them. We get skilled at moving away from ourselves. at moving out of ourselves. And often, if not all the time, healing involves endurism. To sit inside your being and to stay lucid. What does that mean? To stay present. It's not to get lost in it, because you are witnessing, you are breathing, and you are present. And this is a way to embody unconditional love. I accept what is within me now. And it is right, and all of my emotions are right. And I'll never tell you to take my word for anything. I will invite you into a practice. So let's do it. Let's go through the steps together. You ready? This will be fun. So step 1, my darling, and I wrote this out for my recovery people, and let's do it now together. So step 1, and this is to return to the God within that's always there, underneath, waiting, ready, steady, always available. The eye of the storm, if you will. So step number 1 is shake your body, right? The reason why yoga has physical postures is to prepare the body for meditation. So shaking your body releases energy that would keep you focused at the level of body, when in meditation you want to go through the layers and get deeper and deeper. So take a moment, if you're able to, even just shake out one hand, shake what you can. And if you're in a place that you can shake out your whole body, just do it. Extra points if you vibrate your voice, shake, bounce, make a sound. Great. And you can pause this and have some fun with that. We're going to go to step 2 after you shake out your body. Step 2 is take a shape, a seated meditation shape. We are talking about zazen, or seated meditation. So step 1 is shake your body. Step 2 is take the shape of seated meditation and close your eyes if you're comfortable. And if you're driving right now, just feel your shoulders back. Like wherever you're at, yoga, this practice comes to you. Make it mold it into your experience right now. So take the shape with a tall spine, with shoulders back, chin parallel, palms are open if that feels good. Step 3 is breath. The breath is the bridge between your reality here and your internal invisible reality. The breath is the bridge. So let's create some equanimity in the breathing. I said today, if you can manage your breath, you can manage your life. So as you breathe, my love, make it a bit audible. It's called Ujjayi breath, where you just slightly constrict the throat muscles so that there's a little bit of a sound there. You're using your whisper muscles to create like a Darth Vader sound in the back of the throat as you breathe, and that's optional. Just breathe. Create some equanimity in your breathing. Just a few more breaths. Great. Once you have that down, step 4 is to repeat this out loud if you can, or in your heart. I am completely here with you now. And you're repeating this to your chitta, or your emotions and your thoughts, maybe your pain body if it's activated, or your inner child. You're saying to it, I am completely here with you now. And just filling up with breath, release the old air, and repeat that in the mind or out loud. And at this step, we are practicing being lucid in our experience, which means to be conscious. We are widening our capacity to be with what is. Want more joy? Want more orgasmic pleasure? Do this widening practice. It is widening your awareness and your capacity to feel sensation. So noticing now through the eyes of acceptance, what is alive for you? Really turn your attention inwards and just feel what's here. Say hi to your soul, feel what's here. Great. Couple more breaths. Sit a little heavier into your tailbone, sit back into your body, receive the present moment. And remember, peace is the abiding presence at the center of your being at all times. All of your emotions are welcome here. Keep breathing and witnessing. And you can stay in that step for 5 minutes. I really like to set a timer for 10 minutes or 5 minutes and stay in that step. And that is meditation. Meditation is not hurry up and change. Meditation is widen your capacity to be with what's here. And when you do that, you're going to get more energized, because being in a reactionary relationship with life, getting swept up in the storms, it's depleting over time. When we return to that set point, when we return our focus on the inside, we start to engage with the God within. We start to, this is poetically said, but drink from the well that never runs dry. We are taking energy from and with source versus pulling from the external world to stabilize us. And this is addiction. Addiction is rooted in codependent relating. And codependent relating is drinking from the well that was never meant to fill you. Codependent relating is making something else your source versus source being your source. That's my $1 million definition. Codependency is making someone else your source or something else your source, source meaning God, versus source being your source. So when you do this simple, profound practice, you are plugging yourself in to that which you truly are, because we are so powerful that we can get swept up and we can suffer. The way out is through. The doorway to enlightenment is now. You are the golden Buddha, the Christed being. This is the return of Christ, if you will, of unconditional love. You are the chosen one. This is waking up to responsibility of our internal reality. You are responsible with loving yourself. The greatest duty that's been bestowed upon you is to fall in fucking love with your totality. And try this on and see if it is useful. See if it makes your life better. After I shared this class and I heard from the participants, they were like, this is so useful. This is so helpful. And I'm like, that's it. That's what this is meant to be. It's meant to be accessible, practiced. I really love merging the deepest, fanciest, poetic, esoteric teachings with practices that you can do today, right now. That's what the Buddha taught. You're not going to wake up in 2 weeks. The moment is where you wake up. Here's a map. Here's some steps. So step 1 was shake your body. Step 2 was take a seat of meditation, right? You might even lay down, right? Mold this to be your own. Step 2, take a shape of meditation. Close your eyes if you want. 3 is breath. The breath is the bridge. You got to manage your breath. You got to get good at breathing well, right? Which means fluid breath. And number 4 is, I am completely here with you now. You're telling yourself this beautiful truth. And number 5. So after you practice number 4 for a length of time, however long you choose to, it can be 30 seconds, it can be 10 minutes, it can be 20 minutes, whatever you decide, whatever you're available for. Then step 5 is to plant a seed of appreciation. So within that space, let's just go back into your meditation if you're able to right now. And you can do this when you're driving, you can do this at any moment, so you are able to. And I'm inviting you in, so going into that meditation place of I am completely here with you now. And then bringing your focus to something that you can appreciate. Maybe it's that one friend who really gets you. Maybe you're on a path of recovery and you are sober today. Maybe it's your bed that you get to sleep in, or the fact that you have heat this winter, or air conditioning this summer. Call to heart one thing that you truly appreciate. Growing that seed with your awareness. Focusing on it now. Feel appreciation in the heart. And sit in that, my love. Sit in that and breathe. 2 more deep breaths. All the way in. All the way out. All the way in. Drop it out. Give away the exhale. And take a moment, please, to notice how you feel. Thank you so much for doing that with me. How do you feel right now? How do you feel? Love is inclusive. It includes every part of you. And we can use our pain to create beauty. It all has a purpose, and it's all wonderful. So we can use all things for good. Thank you so much for allowing me to be with you and guide this little journey. I'm so excited to go into conversations about Indonesia and share on that. And for now, I just really wanted to teach on the courage to love. The courage to love wider than fear. The courage to sit and experience what's alive with the lucidity of your loving awareness. Ram Dass says it, I am loving awareness. He didn't say I'm judgmental awareness. He said I'm loving awareness. Can you feel the practice of that? And this is going to bear fruit in your life, my love. And the why for the practice is to love greater than any fear, doubt. The practice is because you are worthy of the fullness of your love. And this is the greatest thing I could teach perhaps in this lifetime, because this set me free and saved my life. Instead of running from my stuff, I sat, I faced it, and I put it in my arms. Because I tapped into the remembrance, the recovery, the remembering. I was dismembered and I remembered the unshakable presence of the God within, of peace within. It's always there. It is always abiding. And the journey is through what's alive. All emotions are sacred. Thank you so much for joining me. I would absolutely love to hear your favorite takeaways. You can DM me on Instagram. Please share this episode with somebody who you feel would really benefit from this teaching today. Thank you so much, my love. I'm stoked to continue the journey with you. I've got some fun interviews that are coming up in the near future and stories about Indonesia. For now, the teaching is the courage to love. I love you, and I will catch you in the next episode. See ya. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you absolutely loved this episode. And if you did, please remember to leave a review and share some love. I will see you in the next one.